And balancing the bans they went for in game one, where it was Corki, Gragas, and Rek'Sai, going to have to be a lot less priority, I feel like, towards Smeb. It's going to have to be the OP's ban by Jin Air this time.
Yeah, it's going to be desired to be the first luxury ban for KT on the blue side, now that they can throw a few away. See whether Jin Air stick to the script, or whether we're just going to have a smorgasbord of champions available. Caitlyn, of course, going to be taken away from Deft.
It feels like Caitlyn and Zach are the two that you have the least quarter with, so may have to be banned both on red side. The Galio ban on blue. Is like KT are not reaching for that. So as expected, Caitlyn and Zach now move to the Jin Air side of the coin. Where do you go from here is kind of the question for both sides of the draft. First pick Kalista could happen for KT, but with the Rakan banned away, it does feel like KT is happy to just say, okay, as long as Rakan's not in the game, we're happy to leave Kalista open.
And it might be a Thresh first pick that KT are looking for as well. I mean, it adds a lot of flexibility. It's not like you're jumping down the Kalista path immediately as well, as Jin Air will probably ban that as the final ban on the red side.
Elise available, Rek'Sai available, like you say.
A lot of priority given to the Elise, so now KT have the question of, is it the Thresh or is it the Kalista? And it is going to be the Thresh. Mata wanting to make sure he's back on the playmaker.
Won't be drafting Kog'Maw first pick at least, like we saw from other teams, and remains to be seen if KT want to show that for a second time against Jin Air. They could just go much more conventional KT Rolster, the likes of Rumble is available in this game.
Now to Jin Air go for what has been an Afrika Freaks tactic quite a few times. You mentioned in the previous series, Papa Smithy, do they go for the Gragas as well to try and deny score once again?
I think Rek'Sai Braum is the most obvious draft on the red side.
Yeah. But Kalista, of course, can be locked away as well.
And you are denying away Kalista Thresh with this particular ban, but you start to feel like KT maybe don't prioritize Kalista as high as the teams in our first series and also this game. It's a speculation point as the Kalista is taken away, but then it's going straight back to disengage. It's going straight back to the Kog'Maw.
Yep, may as well pick it up, and I like that you say disengage because that explosive cask is going to add a whole new thing to the recipe for KT Rolster. Smeb may not necessarily jump on something like the Shen this time. It might be some other kind of tank towards the top side of the map, or maybe he just plays Renekton. Tries to jump on top of a Kalista, but Renekton hasn't seen a lot of success into the Dancy Lady on the bottom side of the map.
There's a few different schools of thought on how you draft with a Kog'Maw. Could go for a Shen, like you say. Could start for Corki in the mid lane and try to have a bit of a bridging point as Corki can abuse the early items while Kog'Maw starts to pile on items, but Kog'Maw was going for a 2-item build anyway with Blade the Ruin King into the Ginsu Rage Blade that may not build fantastically, but when it's completed, does mean that Kog'Maw is still pretty fearsome at 2 items. KT also made a big play into reinforcing their mid lane with their duo to allow Mata to roam and Kog'Maw to get free farms, so interesting to track if Jin Air have learned from that and maybe try to attack that particular lane assignment, but remains to be seen.
Well, the Karma has been banned away. We'll see whether Jin Air decided to ban away Lulu here as well, potentially. I mean, Pawn has been known to drift back to it, but it's not exactly his pick.
Orianna would be the more obvious utility mid lane that could be banned away, and it is banned here. I think that KT might just go for Corki, but that could also be a pick on the side of Jin Air to take in this next round of the draft as first pick on the red side.
Could deny it. Talia is going to be taken away, so we saw at Rift Rivals it was Corki and then you picked Talia into it straight away, and then it was Talia and you picked Corki into it anyway, so
it is a really clean Corki draft here if Jin Air want to go that, unless they have something pretty special, I think, for the last pick. Could also be the LeBlanc that Kuzan found a lot of success on in a recent series. But the Corki with the Talia ban and with just the tempo of the game is both a denial pick and such a safe blind pick that if KT have to go a Cassiopeia or a Lucian in this spot, it's just not going to be as strong as what the Corki would have provided on a lesser amount of gold. So I do like the Corki takeaway by Jin Air.
I love the idea of a Cassiopeia, though, in response. Just because I feel like with this composition, it would make a lot of sense. It's going to be locked away straight away. It just means that if they try and dive on the Kog'Maw in the backline, you've just got a Petrifying Gaze and a lot of damage coming out of Pawn as well. It's a different style of comp, though. It
is good in terms of the lane as an answer to Corki. But if you evaluate the two picks separately, the Corki would have provided pressure earlier, right? With the Trinity Force power spike.
Yeah.
That didn't happen, and so we're going to finally see our first blind pick now of the season.
What does So1 have to take into it?
I'm not going to say Yasuo out loud until we finally see our first Yasuo. Someday is somewhere screaming at the top of his lungs. Yasuo, Yasuo, Yasuo. Used to be a KT Rolster special in the past.
Well, he does have the option of going towards it.
Oh, he's going to do it. He's going to do it.
It's happening. Oh, the dream. First it's Ixu. Now it doesn't matter which top lane you get from Jin Air. You're going to get the fun picks anyway, Papa Smithy. So there's the Yasuo, and what a Yasuo composition as well.
And it's like the worst possible nightmare of a Nara because you have Wind Wall and also the Unbreakable to interrupt the boomerang toss. No poking for you, Nar. We do see it with the Fate's Call, the Glacial Fissure, and just Rek'Sai's single target. We will see our first Yasuo into Nar. I thought it might be Smeb. I thought it might be Huni. We're going to see it from Sowan.
Yep, Sowan's going to pick it up. See Akali first coming out of Ixu, and now Sowan says, well, it's all of the top laners on the side of Jin Air that play cool champions, and like you stated, I mean, as far as Yasuo compositions, this is a smorgasbord.
The build path is going to be really interesting. My guess is something like Phantom Dancer into the Frozen Mallet. Still going a little bit tanky, but also having the one-item power spike of a Mallet. Infinity Edge sounds like a dream that is too far in competitive play, but I'm ready to have my expectations shattered. Seeing Yasuo back in the meta reminds you of 2014 Dade and someday in 2015, 2016 as well. We've seen some excellent Yasuo play in Korea, and the meta has rolled around to bring him back.
Ho, ho, ho. We've been waiting for it for so long. We've been talking about it. There's been whispers on the wind. As soon as there was Nar first picks, it has to be an option. We'll see whether Sowan's going to be able to get it together here in game number 2 and bring this series to a deserved game 3.
The hype is high. Absolutely the hype is high, Atlas. Hope we get into it really shortly. It's going to be a really fun one. Still going to require jungle control. Still going to require Rek'Sai around the top. But then we're ready to go.
Right, both teams representation out in force, and it's an exciting game. As Pawn now just playing with fire a little bit, getting his tail all twisted as well. Come on, mate, get that in order. There we are, we're okay now.
Where's my cowbell when I need it?
Oh, I miss it a lot.
Oh, it's Project Yasuo. That's risky.
Oh no. That's triggering a lot of people.
Now, my solo queue experience is that Project Yasuo is instant loss and Heinun Yasuo is 50-50.
And vanilla skin Yasuo? Is that just disaster, or did you just not see it?
You just don't see it.
All right. What about Blood Moon Yasuo? Do you ever see that one?
Not really. I believe there's a statistic that was published that the most purchased skin ever is Project Yasuo.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I remember.
So there's something about him locking in Project Yasuo, and if he carries this game, we can't play solo queue for another 6 weeks.
Can do, Papa Smithy, can do. My experience here in Korea so far has not been super optimal. KT going to start helping with the leash. As Kuzan actually going even here with Pawn in mid lane. Gets a little bit more of the old creep aggro.
Is that Project Yasuo? Maybe it's the new Yasuo.
No, it is. It's definitely Project Yasuo.
You say that. There might have been new Yasuo skins. I never see Yasuo. So I just banned him myself, see, so.
yeah, every single game. Must ban. Oh, cute little play. Marta not going to use his charged auto attack, just going to cancel about 50 of them. As Winter Spite does go wide. Already this bottom lane is exciting as Deft misses a couple of creeps. Oh god, he's tilted.
It is a really good lane. Kog'Maw Interclus is such a really comfortable lane for Kog'Maw, and not one of the terror lanes that potentially can come out. So he's pretty happy in the 2v2, and if he learned anything from game 1, it might just be another rotation of Kog'Maw Kalista into, Kog'Maw Thresh into mid lane pretty early. So the mechanic why we see Yasuo into the Gnar, if people are unaware, is that the wind wall actually interrupts the boomerang toss, and it causes it to fizzle, so you don't actually get the cooldown reduction on catch. Because the ability just disappears, it goes onto its base cooldown, which is really, really long. I think it's 18 to 20 seconds, maybe even more. And that means that so often the range versus melee matchup that can really punish you, and all the base damage buffs to Gnar mean less against the Yasuo, and that's why it is that laning answer and even compositional answer to the Gnar that not many other champions can bring.
And was always such a good answer to the explosive cask as well.
Sure.
I mean, a well-timed wind wall has messed up many a Gragas's day. Not to mention just naturally working well with death sentences and things like that. KT's lineup can certainly be frustrated.
I like that you mentioned it because sort of ability where if it's up, what do you do in a team fight? I think baiting it out is a really important thing for KT.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the reliability of even the long-range Kog'Maw auto attacks. Sort of thing where if the Wind Wall is Primo and they have Wind Wall and Unbreakable, you could negate multiple ultimates, thousands of damage between the two abilities, and turn around a fight. So there's a lot of outplay potential, but it's not reliable.
Well, heal's actually going to be thrown out as well as the exhaust in the mid lane here between Kuzan and Fawn, but now going to trade evenly once again. Score's going to make his way over, finds Umpty. The Rek'Sai was being a little bit frustrating. Ward goes over, and it looks to be Prey Seeker's going to be soaked by a Score. Intelligent positioning. And Umpty's just going to take himself the Rift Scuttler.
Yeah, Thresh could have reacted, so there was no reason for Rek'Sai to skirmish on that side of the jungle. The build, like we say, is the unsure part for the Yasuo. Phantom Dancer seems to be the most likely first pickup.
He's just going to scuttle his way over. Score as well. Seems like the mid lane is the place to be for junglers.
It's fun how, but because we have so many counters in this game, there's lots of different reactions. The Miasma interrupting Corki's ability to just walk up, Q, auto, or rocket auto trade, and then Valkyrie away. That's another interaction that makes the Cassio pretty strong there. Yep, Nara doesn't have Q for ages now.
Yep, just going to wait for this minion wave to turn up as Sohan has a lot of space. Another thing is the Miasma totally screws up Yasuo as well, who just can't dash around once that's down. There's sort of multiple counters on both sides of this matchup, which is very exciting.
It's one of those games where Riot's original mantra was like no really hard counters, right? They were very much off that trend compared to other MOBAs, and then this game has all the hardest counters possible.
Yeah.
That's fun. So we see the LCK total of top lane Nars. 3-2.
19 and 12 for the mid lane, though. I mean, it just shows where our Yasuo players are.
That was old man Dade.
That was the meta, my friend. I tried to believe in Dade for so long.
So many of those 3 wins were from Someday. There was that brief time where blind pick Nara was a thing, and that's why we see that Nara versus Yasuo has happened multiple times in the past.
Yep. Level 6 being gained here in the mid lane. They know that there's no exhaust for Kuzan, but does still have his flash and the Valkyrie, so he'll be relatively fine. Pawn's just farming things up, feeling pretty good. Smeb as well is actually ahead in farm as the waves reset. Someone's going to make his way back. You've got a Durham's Fist coming out for Smeb as item number 1. Wants to get towards his Frozen Mallet as quickly as possible. Does seem to be the route that he wants to take. I mean,
one of the reasons that you go pretty emergency, or at least pretty safe in this matchup, is that Rek'Sai just tunnels in under turret, and then you get the instant ability for Yasuo to go all in with his ultimate. So you have to go safety first, because you don't want to be turret dive. If you fall behind a Yasuo as Gnar, you can potentially just be solo killed in side lane. So you have to go a pretty safe build, and it feels like Joram's Fist over even, say, a Ninja Tabi is the route that Smeb wants to go.
It's going to be a Ninja Tabi picked up by Sohan, though, on the other side, and that's a longsword, so it might be Blade of the Ruin King Yasuo, something like that, to come out. First item, wanting to sit in a side lane, potentially. Interesting. There's been a lot of schools of thought over the years as far as Yasuo builds are concerned.
Most of them involve Phantom Dancer at some point, but don't always have to rush it. The Zeal value always so high on Yasuo.
Hearts are going to turn up, try and dissuade Umpty from stealing away this red buff, as there's just pings everywhere.
Could just be a Vampiric Scepter first, just get a lot of value out of lifesteal, given that your Q procs lifesteal in an AoE. As the Yasuo, but yeah, you're right, big contest onto the red buff. Everyone from KT rotating down as well. You now have to be careful, because honestly, it feels like both teams don't really want to be calling in their top laners, just given who they are.
Yeah. Feels like as soon as one of the top laners leaves, they have to get a lot in order to be able to claw back the lane. Now Score, doesn't quite find it. Now, Jin are actually going to move over.
Yeah.
They've got the shove on the bottom side. That's 4 members here to steal away this red buff, and that is brute force. As now Kuzan might be in trouble. Petrifying Gaze comes in as there's Omti. Flash knockup comes in. Fate's call
Bouncy
there as well.
castle.
Pawn. Oh, Flash is over. Meanwhile, on the top side of the map, the bottom side of the map, everywhere else, it is going to be Corki picking up first blood, and Kuzan, the one to capitalize.
Our Observer was so excited he jumped around to see how everyone felt about the first blood coming through from Jin Air, and the prize is more than just first blood, Atlas. They're going to be able to turn onto an Infernal Drake of all things and pick it up pretty cleanly.
Yep, it's all coming together here for Jin Air in the early game. 9 minutes in, it's already 1,000 gold in the lead, and on top of that, the Infernal Drake to be gathered. Just Pawn overstepping his bounds by just a little bit. Not what they wanted. Let's have a look at this one again.
This time we'll have the locked camera. Corki was a bit suspiciously up, as the reason why we saw the action is the ultimate was finally used, the last breath in top lane, but to no great lead. Able to just get too many of the concussive blow stacks onto the side of the Cassio. Bit brazen from the side of Pawn, who doesn't have cleanse, had heal and flash, but those summoners are both down. And now suddenly, Rek'Sai might just make the return visit in mid lane, and Cassio's going to have to be that bit more safe.
Yeah, very, very careful. But Deft is pretty safe on the bottom side of the map. Remember, KT still want to scale. Still do have tools, regardless of this scary Yasuo potentially doing work on the top side of the map. And Kuzan now with first blood, able to move more quickly towards his Trinity Force.
Your instinct seems to be correct. The lifesteal is going to be the start, but Blade of the Ruin King looking like the rushed item from the side of So1. Could be a Phage as well, I guess, but all we can really tell is that Critical Strike is not being prioritized by the Yasuo in the early game.
Yep. Haven't seen a Death's Dance Yasuo before.
Huh.
That could be an odd one.
Now that you mention it, would be pretty immovable, you'd think.
Yeah. Never really been the Yasuo player myself.
It is the best friend of a Riven, and Riven and Yasuo, outside of Critical Strike, have at times shared quite a lot of itemization.
Yeah, true. Okay, that Unbreakable is demonstrating why it's named that.
Can't be overestimated in a team fight what Unbreakable and a Wind Wall can reduce in terms of damage, in terms of CC, both of them together.
Yeah, it's the classic double wall comp, isn't it?
I mean, we could throw in a Nivea somewhere until he is crying in the corner, but absolutely, it is the damage reduction walls.
Yeah, the projectile denial.
I mean, you put them together and it's basically the width of entire team. You know, there's not really much ability to sneak skill shots or damage around Wind Wall and Unbreakable. So it's kind of innate, it's kind of indirect tankiness, right? It's making people tanky, even if they're not buying health, armor, and magic resist.
And it was a build that we used to see. I don't remember when it was, whether it was 2015, 2016, but these compositions were played all the time as, Omti taking so much damage and they get past the Wind Wall. The knockup should be there, but it's not going to be enough, and so on. Gets that charge a little bit too late. The answer back is there from KT. Glacial Fissure coming down as Deft wants to be able to take the Dark Passage, but is able to get there finally. The double play there from Mata, as well as the Rend is not enough to deal with Deft. In comes Smeb. There's the flash onto the wall up, and the Living Artillery is going to lock down the Callista. Smeb to save the day. He got himself a red buff there as well on the top side and scores split pushing. KT, come alive.
And he was able to teleport and match the Yasuo in Mega Gnar form, so was able to flash in, get the stun. Predictably, Smeb on point with the Gnar. So even though the matchup's not going to be kind to him, if he makes the plays around the map and Deft picks up farm and other members profit, will the Yasuo, which can do so much work, require specific setup? There's no guarantees about Yasuo. It does feel like there's quite a lot of guarantees about a 4-item cog.
Oh yeah, he's got his Blade of the Ruin King done as well. He's 14 CS in the lead. Deft has always been a Cogmore player at heart. You know, like, this guy's always been able to work his way around, especially after the change. He was the one that was able to orb walk with ridiculous amounts of attack speed, like a player unheard of. Papa Smithy, it was ridiculous to see.
In his Korean career, not including his games in China, Deft is 17-5 on Cogmore. Got a lot of wins on EDG also on that champion, so it's always been one of his premier picks next to the Twitch and Jinx. Hyper carries are what the Chinese teams were playing at Rift Rivals, and KT seem to be looking to those strategies, and at least meaning that it's going to be a feather in their bow. It's going to be an option they have, even if they can default to lane.
Oh, God.
With red buff.
Solo kill? The hyper proc comes out. He's under the turret. All too easy for Smeb. Will he have it? No, the tower shot comes in. Bit of Marin flavor up there, and it is going to be the answering kill from Umpty. Message certainly received, though, in what is theoretically a counter matchup.
And he already has Frozen Mallet. Frozen Mallet with red buff, just raining terror onto So1, who's still working on his Blade of the Ruin King. Leaving lane is not what Yasuo wants to do to match Anar. You could argue that if Teddy and Snowfall had played safer, the extra gold and the red buff wouldn't have been there, and So1 would have found his job a lot easier.
Well, there's some more hillbillying happening on the bottom side of the map, and that's going to gather first brick for Deft and Mata. They will share that local gold. Living Artillery going to help clear out this minion wave as they shove it further forward. So now what does KT do? Where do they go to try and get this one done? Mata, was a little bit worried about his little Cogmore friend, but his deep sea buddy's going to make it home. Numpty's going to trade it for the Rift Herald.
But this is kind of the rich man's lane swap for KT, because in the previous game, they just ended laning phase and put Cogmore and Thresh in the mid lane. In this game, they straight up win laning phase, and they can have Cogmore go bot lane, pick up a lane, and then eventually rotate him to mid to get the same safe farm. But this time with the lead, this time potentially with the freeze or the push. KT have so many options the bot side with 2 control wards down. And now KT have run of the map with a Cogmore comp, which sounds to me pretty damn terrifying.
Yep. Sounds like sad times for Jin Air fans. However, their first blood was strong. Kuzan still farming things up. Has his Trinity Force now as well. There are item spikes that they're coming into. 2 Blade of the Ruin Kings will be finished pretty soon for both So1 and Teddy. Score is looking to grab himself Ocean Dragon.
No real ability for KT to have this contested. Jin Air can't walk up. There's no vision in the area. Umpty's top lane. Maybe they're going to try and put down the Rift Herald in top side. But for now, just trying to zone Smeb away from turret. So one's only level 10. This is risky.
Yep. Doesn't have any Nabar, though, as there's the knock-up combo. Still tanking the turret. Hyper proc comes out as Smeb going to dance around this one. Yep, the Void Rush is going to get in there. It's going to reset the aggro there as well. Too many creeps. But now what is KT going to be able to gather from this one? Mata's in the mid lane, scores back at base, and Cogmore's on the bottom side. So absolutely nothing is the answer to that.
The timing window there seemed to be Mega Gnar being down, like you say, Atlas, but it's just a kill and a disengage, which we saw at Rift Rivals. We know very cleanly it's not going to be anything to grow a lead for Jin Air, even if it allows So1 to finally pick up the Blade of the Ruin King. I imagine he has enough gold for that. Already pretty far behind in itemization compared to Smeb.
Yeah, waiting for a bit of a tick up, I think, before he grabs that one. Still just waiting in base. Okay, there it is. Just needed to... There's an extra couple of seconds. Kuzan's got the package. Ready to start something off. Yet another Last Breath activator. Meaning that everyone on the team has a button that can provide an ultimate from So1.
Scary in theory, but in practice doesn't necessarily mean they'll be able to take down a Cogmore, as they put down the Rift Herald in mid lane.
Okay, and
KT already in pretty good position for here.
That's a cute one. Okay, Descent's not able to stop him smacking that turret, but still going to survive. So you're right, not exactly the most impressive Rift Herald that we've ever had.
Well, KT read the situation really smartly. Everyone roamed up. Even Cogmore was halfway there before he was called away. Confident they wouldn't lose the turret.
Oh, it's upsetting times for Smeb. That cannon creep is missed. He's still probably very happy. 2-2-1 as opposed to 0-1-2, so still doing fine in the matchup. Only behind about 20 CS. And a losing matchup is something that you're not really going to complain about too much. Pawn scaling up with his Rod of Ages already done. Had that one about 5 minutes ago, so a good clip after a tier. Look, that's going to land, and they're actually committing to this one. The Ignite goes down. Wow! That Braum was so dead, so fast, even through Unbreakable.
He didn't use any of his summoners, didn't use Exhaust, didn't use Glacial Fissure, just straight up dies. Allow Katie to push up vision, allows them to push in as well. Seems like Jin Air was just as surprised as you, Atlas, that by the speed of the Deft, but they just open up onto Deft.
Okay, Exhaust is going to be invested, but Dark Passage does get the Cogmore out to safety. Umpty slowed down, does have an opportunity to dolphin his way out if he wants to, but realizes that it's a bit of a tank battle, so no one's really going to worry.
Then I mentioned that against Yasuo, KT have taken no exhaust. Some teams would take 2 exhausts against Yasuo's in previous metas. There is 0 exhaust, only an ignite from Mata, so they're clearly not phased by the Yasuo, even in a team fight.
Oh, cute little hop gets Smeb out of the way. Not going to get dashed into. Somebody understanding that he's not going to be able to get around here. There's pings going down all over the top side of the map. Smeb knows something's up.
I wonder if you see this, Yasuo, and you just go full offensive items. Phantom Dancer into Guardian Angel into all-ins. Speaking of all-ins.
Yep, Blade of the Ruin King comes down, but there's the Meganar, the wallop down as well as so on. Want to get himself amongst it. Cute little knock-up, but not an activation of the ultimate as Mata turns up in the nick of time. There's the ult coming out. Yeah, last breath in there, but Score, he's well and truly healthy, and Smeb takes the Dark Passage. Still, might be Score in trouble as he's underneath the turret. No ultimate available for the deactivation of the turret aggro, and Deft is just going to hang out in the mid lane. Kuzan is going to turn up with Teddy. Deft has to be a little bit careful. Blade of the Ruin King comes down. Teddy probably doesn't want to take this fight. It's possible I'm not going to find the damage onto the Kog'Maw. Jin Air do manage to take down the top lane outer.
Yeah, the ability to skirmish for the Yasuo is starting to come online, even though the item build is very much still in its infancy. KT tried to answer with a mid lane turret. Okoki was already in position to hold him down. First seal finally completed by Sowan at 19 minutes. I'm sure all the Yasuo mains in chat are shaking their heads, being like, should have been an 8-minute seal. But it's gone a bit slower, going for the sustain route with the Blade of the Ruin King. Items starting to roll in on other carries. Still, we are unsure of what the Yasuo will provide in fights, but KT have not teched against it at all. No exhaust from them is super risky because with this many knockup modifiers, it could be a 5-man last breath. It's possible on the side of Soa.
Well, Deft now has his QSS, so is able to QSS flash out of that particular ability or combination of multiple abilities. Probably one of the most valuable items in the game against this composition. Baron has just spawned about 5 seconds ago. So we're going to have our next dragon in 1 minute. Will be a Cloud Drake. So Jin Air getting the most valuable one thus far. One's going to turn up and once again go toe-to-toe against Kuzan. Morellonomicon completed here as well. Unbreakable Assault. Oh,
so close. We had an 11 HP turret earlier. It's a 14 HP one now.
Yeah. And the Brambleback now going to be donated over to Teddy most likely. That's going to be it. Now finally Deft is able to grab that. So outer ring already completed, but it's only 200 gold now the lead for KT with an extra kill and an extra turret. So this extra farm that has been picked up, yes, I said extra a heck of a lot of times, from both Umti and so on, certainly helping out as far as money totals are concerned.
Rek'Sai does spot out how many people are here, so Kuzan has to back away. My read on team fights this early, even when the items are complete, and Hurricane obviously will be coming out very soon for Teddy, is that if KT start a fight with a Meganar or with a Gragas Cask, you probably just explode one of the carries on Jin Air and you win the fight. But if Jin Air is able to dictate which fights are taken, with a big last breath, for example, they very much do have item spikes that make teamfight victories very possible for them. So the end read is that if both teams get the lead in a fight, they win, and thus the fireworks seem to be almost inevitable.
Yeah. It's exciting to see what Sowan's going to do as well. At the moment, if this is going to be the Phantom Dancer, Blade of the Ruin King Phantom Dancer, a fantastic split-pushing combination of items, and should be able to go 1v1 versus Smeb with those. But also will be able to get in amongst this. Here's the engage. Mata doesn't find the hook though, and Umti just going to tunnel his way out. It's an unfortunate one as Smeb gets out of the way of the tornado. Everything should be fine. Okay.
Not often does the synergy between Mata and Score abandon them, but missing the hook there was pretty consequential. They would have looked for the Baron if they got to pick on the enemy jungler. Been pretty comfortable to take it. Speaking of comfortably taking objectives, Pawn is able to walk up, deal with Corki, and take the turret basically in the face of Kuzan.
Yeah, it did so. Actually just yelled at him as well. Get out of the way, I assume, if you want the translation. The turret was definitely falling down. So on. Offers another one, but doesn't throw the ultimate out. Remember, Last Breath has a pretty low cooldown. So often you can see Yasuo's be relatively liberal with them, but not this time for So on.
Doesn't have any vision on the red side of KT, so doesn't know who's potentially coming down bot lane to collapse on him.
Well, item builds. Umti almost towards his Black Cleaver. You've got the 2-item spike for Kuzan with his Rapid Fire Cannon done, and especially those Sorcerer's Shoes. Finally, the Phantom Dancer comes in for Soan, and you've got the 2-item spike for the Callista as well. Jin Air certainly at a point where they should be able to fight, but they're going to miss out on this Cloud Drake. Going to be taken by KT.
The plan of Jin Air, I think, will be revealed with the 3rd item from Soan. If it's Guardian Angel, they're fighting. If it's something else, I think they're probably going to focus on the split push. Phantom Dancer, so if you went for, say, Frozen Mallet, that's more of a split push item. Infinity Edge, kind of unsure. It's a bit of a suicide item, but it's a possibility.
Yep.
But Guardian Angel would definitely be the teamfight item from here.
That's a bunch of extra damage too, I like it. Hadn't thought of Guardian Angel in the context of Yasuo for quite some time, given his absence from the meta.
2 items on Callista, 2 items on Corki. Again, if they can choose the time, Jin Air should have the tools to win a fight. Otherwise, we continue to go that inevitability territory. Kog'Maw abandoned his item build to get the early QSS and is working towards the Rage Blade. So for now, is pretty low power.
Yeah. Still probably wants a pickaxe maybe as his next buy, but then there's a long time before he has enough money to complete that Rage Blade as well. So this is a definite mid-game lull for the Kog'Maw. Once he gets those 2 items, we'll be feeling good, as Deft has a way out. He's now deep, not going to be able to get in there, and Deft, really nice positioning on the Kog'Maw, always safe. They do take the turret. Jin Air doing some work at this point in the game.
Yeah, we only have a 200 gold lead for KT, so we're basically all even. What they've done best is stopped Kuzan from being a 1-3-1. Cassiopeia has had so much pressure on the Corki in the side lanes, even taking turrets in his face. That's been pretty big.
Yeah, Mata once again, great position.
Not a
the
great teleport.
Yeah, going to be cancelled by Soan. Not what you want. Is another Petrifying Gaze goes wide. Kuzan gets over the top, flashes. There's the explosive cast. It may have killed Born though, as Kuzan picks that one up. Good play, the box is here, but everyone turning up on the side of KT and Jin Air. They get rid of Kuzan, so no mid laners. They're available anymore as Void Rush was used. The flash from Smeb, he wants to get this as the knock goes wide. That was beautiful, but there's the knockback. And Smeb crushes over the wall once again. So Snowflower, Winter's Bite goes nowhere, but Soan should be able to clean this one up. As Smeb, he's going to go down low. It's a double kill, and Teddy is going to be able to grab the Kog'Maw. Disaster strikes for KT. 4 are dead. That could just be Baron.
You're going to lose Baron here because, of course, the use of the Unbreakable and also the Wind Wall will allow them extra tankiness against Baron's attacks as well. They took so long to win a fight. Umti's ability to tunnel over, bait in the flash from Gnar, and then get out himself allowed him to live against all odds. And the damn Yasuo, who cancelled his teleport, walked from bot lane. Consider that he cancels teleport, Gnar teleports in, and yet it's still a teamfight victory for the side of Jin Air.
Just insane.
So they open up here, Kuzan goes super Rambo, flashes for vision in a brush, and then you think, okay, it's just going to be a 1-for-1. Gnar's already here at this point. Yasuo hasn't even hit the mid lane. As the fight goes on, Umti is tanky, but he drops aggro, then drops aggro again by going through the tunnel, and then flashes over. It's insanity from Umti, but the Unbreakable's off cooldown, so more of this indirect tankiness we talked about, Atlas. They get more and more reduced damage, and there's Soan, who flashes over the wall. They're confident in their damage. The skipping here, the dance moves from Jin Air are just beautiful. They should release a single based on the greatest hits of that fight, and Jin Air just outfight KT.
Yeah. And it was all about that whiff Gnar ultimate as well. I mean, if Smeb had that up, there was so many opportunities after he crushed his way back into that fight. Fortunately, just outplayed by Umti, flat out. This guy is having one hell of a season. Now has a Gargoyle Stoneplate as well. He's doing some damage. Has that extra tanky build with the Cinder Hulk on top of things. So I really like it out of the man.
And Soan is going to try and trust in the armor shred from the Rek'Sai and also the innate armor penetration the Last Breath provides. He's going to go Randuin's as his next item. He just wants to sit on Deft, have an AoE slow and also the attack speed slow. And he already has decent base damages, so he's relying on just living through a fight rather than necessarily trying to burst someone down. So it's a new item build. The Randuin's third is not something I've seen, but it's a new approach to playing the Yasuo in a team fight.
Yep, like the idea. Make sure he can't just get exploded.
One thing it tells you, it's team fight Yasuo for sure. He's not going to be going for a split push. Going this item build.
Well, Smeb's going to see what he can do as far as getting some damage down. Meganar comes in, and Smeb will be able to defend the inner turret. Kuzan able to lock down the adder on the bottom side of the map. But that one was a bit of a gimme. Spawn waiting in the wings. Miasma comes in. Mato looking for the hook. Bit of damage onto Umti. Doesn't have a lot of magic resist just yet.
Umti not dying in that last fight was literally unbelievable.
That was the silliest thing. And the hook. That is going to land. So, bit of damage onto Snowflower, but otherwise he's able to stand behind Teddy, get himself out. Of course, had the ultimate available in the Fate's Call, so he's never really under too much threat, but they want to save that ability to try and lock down some engages rather than use it for defense.
But the Baron buff becomes pretty unmanageable from KT. They kind of have to engage. They have a disengaged comp, but that doesn't help you when you're dealing with your turrets going down. Gina don't have to dive onto them, so just take the free objective.
Yeah, all too easy. And it's going to be the second tower of the push. 5,000 gold now the lead for Jinair. And Smeb casually wanders out of the way. Someone takes a turret shot. All part of the plan, I believe, is how it works.
Project Yasuo might win a game.
Oh no. Yeah, he does have a Randuin's Omen. It's looking pretty good. Control Ward is now picked up.
Somehow I feel like the people that play Yasuo and solo queue are going to skip over the Randuin's Omen part. The other part of locking in Yasuo and building the other items maybe, but somehow I think the Randuins won't come in.
No, that doesn't look like a Bloodthirst or an Infinity Edge or a Trinity Force.
Static Shiv.
Static Shiv. Rapid Fire Cannon Yasuo, that's the dream.
The objective control, having lane pressure in a Gnar lane is one of the few, Yasuo is one of the few champions who can do that. Kennen on the on-hit build, that can get lane pressure on a Gnar, but Yasuo is one of the few that can do it. And they also have the insane secure of a Kalista Baron potential, so there's a lot going on when the next Baron spawns. If Jinair can be the clean air team that we've seen in fits and spurts recently, get their control wards down. Right now, the map is lit up around Baron for when that spawns, but the vision now will start to fade when the Baron finally comes in. Jinair have a lot of different options with the strength of the Yasuo on the side lane. But there's still no inevitability about this game as Kog'Maw getting closer and closer to 3 items.
Yeah, we'll have that Hurricane very, very soon. And remember in that last fight, it was that awkward recurve bow Blade of the Ruined King stage as well. So they caught KT at a great time to start a fight on the side of Jinair. Hopefully it means that they're not overly aggressive in their next one, as the one on Kuzan attacking this inner turret on the top side.
Nothing awkward about Kuzan and Teddy's items, though. They're both in a really strong spot.
Oh, yeah.
So you just give up outer turrets, inner turrets. Nothing KT can do at this point to walk up to those.
Well, Pawn's able to split on the bottom side of the map, so at least buy them some pressure relief. It's a big minion wave that's going to be crashing towards that inner turret as well. 2 minutes now on the Baron buff for that one to come back up. Even on Dragons, now the next Ocean Drake was taken by Jinair, and the next one going to be the Elder, so equally as useful for both teams, if not a little bit more for Jinair, I guess, given the fact that they have at least one Infernal Drake.
Another Vamp Scepter from So-On, so Bloodthirster definitely a possibility in this case. Could also be the Death's Dance that we've been talking about.
Ravenous Hydra potentially as well, who knows?
Possible. Kind of was the meta build for a hot second and then was passed over, so Tiamat Yasuo seems to have died a death.
Doesn't necessarily need to auto-reset, and certainly doesn't need the wave clear. But it's fun to theorycraft.
Especially because it's Yasuo, you know, a pick that draws so much ire in solo queue, but I feel like in competitive play is so cool because everyone knows the risks on both sides of a team locking in Yasuo, and how teams play around it can be very interesting.
Def now has Phantom Dancer, so it's not going to be the Hurricane. Wants to make sure that he can melt a single target.
And not instantly die to Yasuo.
Probably an optimal choice as well. Has his flash now. The Kog'Maw is ready to fight. Probably wants one more item before it's, you know, mega Kog'Maw mode. But he's feeling pretty good at this stage of the game.
Theory here is that if Deft has everything up, which he does right now, it's almost impossible for him to not kill a Yasuo, because Yasuo goes in, cleanse flash away, and then he has Phantom Dancer and also Lifesteal to take him down where he stands, even through something like a Randuin's Omen.
Soon to have double Lifesteal as well with a Rage Blade, which could be very frightening. I'd like a more of Malmortius as well, so he gets down to low health and then just has the lifeline passive.
You're obsessed with the lifeline passive.
I love the lifeline passive, man. It's just so good. You sit there and you just attack move. And you get so much health back. It's silly.
They're sitting in a control ward, but will be vacated out of it. Baron has spawned finally. Jinair's first Baron came off their amazing team fight in the top side. Looking to recreate that now. They don't have much deep vision for the Yasuo teleport, but Gnar doesn't have the most options either.
Now Def now probably wants to utilize his red buff in the next fight as Score and Pawn making their way around, clearing out vision where they can.
Umti has to be a bit more respectful as Rek'Sai than you do against most comps because Miasma, like you mentioned, messes him up.
Well, out goes Smeb, but that's Last Breath on cooldown. Of course, doesn't have a lot of cooldown.
Nope.
Oh my goodness. It's like a very small timer. Couldn't even heat up your tea with that sort of timer on your microwave, Pop Smitty. Been spending time with my family a little bit too much, I think.
They're also straight off the lane. As Umti's giving up his whole life bar for free.
Taking a lot of damage. Has to flash his way out. Def possibly out of position, but no Mata deals with that. That is the jungler now at a massive risk. Will have to go back to base. Does follow through. Lots of pings now onto this Baron. As Umti does follow through.
Yeah, he's going all in on it.
Yep, straight away. Teleport coming in now from Smeb. Should get himself in there. Nabar at a decent position there as well. It's the Baron going down low. Oh, that big one did a lot of damage. And now Smeb will have the Mega Gnar. Can he get it done? Massive double stun score. Gets the Baron as now. They're just climbing onto the massive Kog'Maw in the back line. And there is Pawn now in this fight and able to get the work done with a Petrifying Gaze. This is what KT's comp can do.
First time they were actually able to disengage Atlas. They didn't have to follow. They fought around the Baron, got the buff, could kite back, and there wasn't 5 members of Jinair to try and profit from the fight. So KT blow open the game. They have been the onlookers. They have been the reactive team for the first 35 minutes. But taking Baron now means that Jinair have to bring the fight to them. This was a true 4v4, 4v5. They didn't actually have to have Rek'Sai fully back. She was low health, so they kind of cut their losses. They thought bringing up the Yasuo was enough to disrupt the Baron from being started, but bouncing in Teddy meant that Kalista couldn't bounce around herself and do damage. At the same time, they weren't able to commit early, was Jinair, so the end result, Baron to KT.
Yep, Smeb just jumping over the wall, getting that Gnar, getting the stun. Umti having to go back to base, and just shows that one tiny little mistake can mean so much. Umti taking his whole health bar in damage, even if he didn't die, is what led to this KT Baron and KT's avenue back into the game, and possibly even this Elder Drake.
There's been no vision around the area. A couple control wards put down as they walked into the objective, and Jinair just have never played around this area, so only now do they get the bad information.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned objective secure. The damage out of KT's composition is definitely there. Jinair, yes, certainly. They've got the Ren damage to try and secure the Baron and the Elder Dragon, and they've got Kuzan with a lot of damage as well as so on, but Cassiopeia Kog'Maw, I mean, there's, as far as duos are concerned, for consistent DPS, I'm pretty sure they'd be up there with the highest.
Yeah, Rageblade, Blade the Ruin King, does so much damage from the Cog side, and Cassiopeia doesn't even need explanation. They can walk up, and Def can be pretty safe. He'll walk up to start, judge if Jinair's going to walk up themselves, and then not even have to pop his Bio-Arcane Barrage to take the first turret.
He's got a Durham's Fist there as well. Might be a Steric's Gauge for the Kog'Maw. Just wanted to make
Frozen
sure.
Mallet, also a possibility for Kog'Maw.
Hey, that's true. Certainly something that would ruin Sowan's day. He doesn't have his dash off cooldown or a minion wave. Speaking of items, though, Teddy does have his Maw of Malmortius completed, as well as his Mercurial Scimitar and Blade of the Ruin King. The lifeline combo, Papa Smithy, that I was talking about before. I do like it, but he's just not been able to get past Def's incredible range. His health bar's not high. Now just trying to make sure that he can get damage on this turret.
So one's near. Jinair at some point have to hard engage, as they will have Smeb just free autoing onto the inner turret.
He's going to move himself over. Okay. Flops himself out. Bon. Thought he was going to press his R button there. He's been a bit trigger happy with that one so far, but Big One does a lot of damage from Kuzan as Def moves his way back towards this mid lane. Good hook lands onto Umti, and fantastic cast delivers him to Def's open arms. Snowflower now, Living Artillery, chasing him down. They'll just take the inhibitor turret though, and KT look to have taken over the game. It's only 1,000 gold the lead, but breaking the base with this composition is really important.
Yeah, with Baron, Elder Dragon, KT can just play front to back, bounce in whoever, instant kill him. It doesn't matter how much wombo damage someone like a Yasuo or even just a Corki free hitting can do. There's no front line for them to do damage. And now fights are being fought on KT's terms, the one thing Jin Air couldn't allow, and that means their base is almost completely gone.
Yeah, and I know this is a little bit of an aside, but it's just fantastic seeing in this series Smeb demonstrate that not only is he in form on the carries, on the split pushes, but he's still such an incredible teamfight tank player. Like, the Gnar has looked fantastic in, like, especially the last team fight. He was splitting just then, but still would have been able to make his way over. KT, this is another facet, another side to this team we hadn't seen for quite some time.
And it's almost like training wheels for their other comps, because you have to get a lot better at playing the early to mid game in terms of clean play, not just aggression, not just snowballing leads, but also, okay, we actually lose out on the trades, on the push in multiple lanes. How do we play around that? How do we react around that? I love the lane swap in game one to very early force a farm lane for the Kog'Maw. And in this game, it's just been a lot of control play where, sure, they lost a fight around the top side and lost the first Baron. But otherwise, they've been pretty flawless and not losing bonus objectives to the side of Jin Air. And now Jin Air, because they're losing out on the Vision War, because they're losing out on the Pressure War, getting to the Kog'Maw through Knight's Vow, all the other peel on the side of KT Rolster, and in general, overdiving the backline where KT can just fight front to back and kill their enemy front line. It's so much more straightforward for KT to win fights, and it needs every bit of setup to go right for Jin Air to win on their side.
Yeah. And Score is just the bane of So1's existence as well. Frozen Heart, as well as, like you say, the Knight's Vow, Gargoyle Stoneplate, so he's just not going to die. Pretty frustrating. Deft happily tanking up a turret, just utilizing the Kinsu's Rage Blade to have inane amounts of lifesteal. And remember, Super Creeps are now moving their way towards the Jin Air base. Doesn't matter that this minion wave is dead, because the Super Creeps will be just too much to deal with. And the Snake Lady, the little Gnar, making their way in for the flank around the side. Deft is just being such a juicy target, and he knows that Marta will get him to safety if he's ever out of position.
5 flashes up from KT. Every single player a playmaker. Speaking of flashes,
this is not when you start a fight though. Smeb just gets his ultimate. Will make his way out now. So they are going to be able to take down one. Pawn is going to fall down, but Deft in a good position. Teddy is the one that grabs that kill, but he's jumped on top of Smeb. Guardian Angel is now down, and the base is getting torn apart. So1 has to get himself out, and Deft, once again, just staying behind his tank line. KT just looked like they were happy to sacrifice Pawn because they knew that they were going to get more. As Kuzan has to use his QSS, and Snowflower will bear the brunt of the damage. Good Unbreakable. Living Artillery gets around it though, and another Dark Passage. The bottom lane of Deft and Marta has never looked this in control.
Yeah, Smeb just teleports back because he knows they will lose their third inhibitor turret as they chase into Smeb. He's just buying time as the rest of the team is deciding the game around him.
Yep, kiting it as well. Will have that Mega Gnar. Doesn't have the Gnar. Oh, he does. He's got the ultimate, the double wallops there, but okay, that's the whole base in tatters.
Yeah, it's a decent trade from the side of Smeb. It guarantees the third inhibitor turret. So few teams have come back from 3 inhibitors down, and it's also 3 inhibitors down as Baron spawns again. KT, I'm going to have to respect this being rushed. You could try it if you're Jin Air, but KT with 4 members and also soon-to-be super minions hitting the base has so many options to delay Jin Air.
They have to take it right now if they're going to be able to take that one down. Vision is cleared though, and Jin Air, they're going for it. Everyone on KT that's alive is going to be able to make their way into this pit.
It's 4v4.
Oh, package. Oh, Kuzan, he probably didn't want that. Has to flash himself all the way out, but they've got some weird pincer maneuver, but it's not exactly where they want to be doing battle. Deft well and truly in the backline. So1 has to get himself out. Fate's call, but Deft flashes it immediately out of the way and still safe, but Pawn once again dead. Marta going to be the follow-up death, but Super Creeps are crashing forward. This is so dangerous.
They have to rush it down right now, instantly. They can't respect the Smite Steal. They need to take it or they will just lose the game.
Well, Deft is trying his very best to try and hang out over the side. Living Artillery is not going to be enough to out-damage Rend. and he doesn't want to sacrifice his life. So I think this will be the end of a Nexus turret.
I played this game on my mobile phone before. I think it's called Tower Defense Atlas.
Yeah, I recently downloaded a new one. I'm not very good at it, and neither is Jin Air because they lost their last remaining turret. The Nexus now well and truly exposed, and congratulations, you got a purple buff. But you have nothing left in your base.
I mean, Jin-Air's read was that if they gave up the Baron, they would lose the game anyway. I'm not a fan of overforcing Barons when you have no base to defend. But they've got the Baron. Does KT just delay because they can just wait till the next Baron? They're under really no obligation to make things happen now.
Still has kept the game alive at Jin Air, though. And despite the fact that they haven't necessarily been winning fights, they still have a gold lead. Jin Air GreenWings hanging on by the skin of their teeth. It's 11 turrets to 5. If Jin Air move up into the base, I mean, this gold lead will be out of control. Elder Drake going to be up relatively soon. Teddy grabs himself a red buff, and Papa Smithy, this is pretty close.
Let's talk about what Jin Air have. They have 2 inhibitors back up. That's pretty big for them, as with Baron buff and also 2 inhibitors up. The base is not so much of a forced playground for them. They can actually duck out of the base for bits of time. They also have a lot of damn damage on this team. Infernal Drake, even though it's a single one on all these carries. A 5v5, if you get a clean ace here, or even just a pure ace, you probably win the game. So they're happy to walk up.
Oh, they don't want to walk up and take damage from Deft, though, especially when that Rage Blade gets stacked up. You can see Kuzan has to dodge out of the way of these living artilleries because he may just die. He's trying to lifesteal it back up. Score getting himself back in here, and this is on a knife's edge. Smeb trying to go for an engage. Does get a Valkyrie out as now Score's moving forward. Now losing health bars.
Kuzan going to deal with the top lane. Super minions pushing in. Not going to take him very long. He is Corky.
Yeah, the pressure seesaw, you saw it happen just there. As KT get the pushback, they know where these lanes are. Bottom lane is pushing forward for Jin Air. That is important for them. They'll be able to rely on that moving forward, but Deft playing with fire.
The importance for KT is we again come back to the comp. What did we say they have? Disengage. They are a disengage comp. Engage is only possible from basically an amazing Gnar play, which at this point in the game, with where the terrain is being fought, is very difficult to pull off. So KT, they want to fight around Elder Dragon, spawning in 50 seconds. They want to fight around Baron, spawning in a couple of minutes. In the open, they're actually going to find it really hard to do more than just poke at Jin Air.
Well, they're trying their very best to do that, and Snowflower is trying to utilize the lack of Dark Passage available for Deft, but he took half of his health bar in damage, which is definitely not what you want. See Deft trying to play up, wants to stack that Rage Blade as quickly as possible, and the bottom lane is something that is starting to really become a problem.
But the bigger problem for Jin Air is because they've been in the face of KT in their base. KT know there's no way there can be vision around Elder Dragon. They know that that pit is completely going to be darkness for the side of Jin Air. So they have the option to start the Elder Dragon when it spawns, or actually push up a ward and maybe look for that big Gnar play, which is certainly a possibility in terrain like that. Pawn for now. Going to be looking through one of the passages. There's going to be a 3rd inhibitor spawning here for Jin Air. They will be able to leave the base in just a couple of seconds' time.
Yeah. And it's So1 as well that's able to deal with it. He's now got 6 items with that Guardian Angel completed. He's actually ahead of Smeb as far as itemization is concerned. Well, take it all back. Spirit Visage now done. Going into Mega Gnar is going to be helpful. Does give you a little bit of extra health back, given the fact that I believe it counts as a heal.
I mean, it's 6-item Corky, 6-item Callista, and 6-item Yasuo. It's Deft!
Oh, very close to a dead Deft. Oh, he'd be shaking right now, eating some honey fruit to try and calm his nerves.
Not nutritious enough to deal with that sort of chunk from the side of Jin Air.
Yeah, but popcorn chicken, that most certainly is. Can eat that one up. Delicious. Charges up the Rage Blade as well.
Jin Air do not have to stay in base. Their minion waves are not working against them with any speed. So KT, what do they want to do? For now, they're cutting off Jin Air. They could just barrel down mid lane, but it looks like they want to fight.
Yeah, well, they need to try and win this fight before that Elder Drake comes out, because the Rend is just going to be too difficult for them to try and do damage against. And now the Wind Wall, it's only going to be up for the next little while. Okay, oh my god, Score steals it!
He knocked away Teddy and just smited down the Elder Dragon.
That is just so rude. And KT now with this big buff, gonna head towards the open inhibitors.
Yeah, they have a lot of an inside track. Score just does that all on his own.
Oh my god.
Super well done for Score. Usually it's the smites against Score that people remember. That one was clutch. They walk up, they've got Elder Dragon buff. Still have to respect KT, but Jin Air have damage of their own.
This is what happens when there's no gangplanks in the game, Papa Smithy. Score well on point with these smites as Deft all pressing up very, very far forward. Thankfully, Voidoo's is going to slow down the Jin Air members.
One wall down. They'll have Winmore back up in just a couple of seconds. Has it now.
This is certainly teetering on a knife's edge. They want to try and get the poke damage in. Deft unanswered as he throws out these auto attacks, and that is going to be the base broken one more time in the mid lane.
But where is the Alamo for Jin Air? They cannot allow 3 inhibitors to go down again.
Well, this top one is going to be the next option. Deft well and truly in range of it as the minion wave is going to catch up. Now Kuzan throws out the package there again, trying to corral as there's the Fate's Call. This could be the last fight for Jin Air, but no one is going to get hit. In goes Umti, but look at Marta controlling the fight once again. Pawn goes down, Score has moved out of the way as Deft trying to kite Teddy.
He can't do
Smarter
it.
Now Deft, can he do it? The knock-up comes in, and the Kog'Maw is dead. Smab and Score now the only ones left alive. And KT, they've taken down 1 inhibitor, but it's so late in the game, I feel like Jin Air might be able to just do it.
It's a minute on Death's respawn. Score just goes straight down mid lane. The Nexus is exposed.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so Smeb, he's got his teleport, but there's nothing to teleport to. Everyone is just going to get themselves back. Okay, Umti, he might be in trouble as Smeb's looking to try and chase after him.
It's risky from Smeb. He didn't get tagged by the Q, though.
All right, explosive cast, bit of a party there for Score. As Smeb will need to work some heroics to try and deal with Kuzan. Once again, another crush gets himself out of there, but remember, they're buying time. Pawn's going to be up in 15 seconds. It's no longer end of the game territory. They have bought enough space. And Smeb hops his way out. I don't know how they didn't die, but Baron buff is once again going to be taken by Jin Air.
But it's the smallest of advantages. Picking up a Baron and not even breaking the inner turret in mid lane is a win for KT. Smart from Score to run into the mid lane and delay the game. KT can reset, but team fights, if they follow the trend of the last one, are looking almost unmanageable for KT Rolster, because usually you have a strong front line, you have Petrifying Gaze, you disengage, and Kog'Maw will do the damage. But there's so much damage on the side of Jin Air, and they also have the double walls to disengage some of the Kog'Maw damage, so no one's dying, they're life-stealing back up, and they're winning the fights.
Yeah, it's working out so well, and now Teddy, he's got a Rage Blade of his own. This is a wannabe Kog'Maw build on Kalista, but it does work. It means he can dance around so quickly. And there's just not enough, it seems that there's not enough armor to really be respected. So hasn't even gone for any sort of armor penetration at all in this build. Okay, Windwall goes down early. Oh, Eaton, it's got a ludicrously large width.
It does, and it gets a much lower cooldown as the game goes on as well, Atlas. It's only down to a 18-second cooldown, so every second fight.
Yeah, Hook is going to land onto Snowflowers. Kuzan, you cannot be doing that, buddy.
He might
Another
die here.
one. That's going to be that. He's taken down to the Guardian Angel. Redemption to come in here as Smeb looking for that Narbar, but the wind wall is so good. And that saves Kuzan's life. Umti now completely out of position.
And Jin Air is out of position in general. Mata throws out the hook, doesn't find anyone.
He's going for the optimal target there.
Snowfall's backing in vision, but he'll get out. No, he cancels his channel. Teddy's also caught here.
Yeah, what's happening?
Snowfall in vision, now sees the ward go down. Deft is just striking through mid lane. Remember, this Nexus is exposed.
Yeah, they just need to move him over there, and Teddy, he's going to get distracted. They're just trying to play the move them around game as they're moving towards the Nexus.
Teddy's not there!
Teddy, he just can't get out of the way. Deft needs to just be set up. He's in the playpen. Just shoot the Nexus, Deft, but so on. He wants to stop him, but the lifesteal is massive. The knock-up, it lands onto the Kog'Maw, but he's still alive. Snowflower with the Unbreakable. Where are the walls? Smeb flashes his way out. He's still got the GA Score. Finally gets himself over. Umti, he's going to come in, but he's going to lose his life. Deft picks that one up. Oh my god, the Kog'Maw. Could it be Penta time as he's just going to turret, trying to take down the members, but no, Teddy is going to be able to pick that one up. Pawn trying to pop off, but he's not going to be able to do it.
How are they doing this?
He's trying to get in there? He's going to! Inhibitors are dead all over the place, but Jin Air once again, hold on.
Holy crap, this Ginsu Rageway Callista and the Yasuo are murdering everyone. Jin Air managed to win a fight again, and the game keeps going.
Oh my god, I'm gonna pop a blood vessel in my face, Papa Smithy. This game, if it goes to 3, I might die immediately afterwards.
So the Yasuo used the ult way earlier while we were watching the fucking yakety sacks, and yes, I said the F word, happening in the backline. It kept on going, the fight keeps on going, and so many times you think the game is gonna go over. You see Kog'Maw getting the first 2 kills after the Guardian Angel is popped, and you're like, okay, Corki's dead, the game is over. But watch how much work they're able to do as the fight goes on. Teddy is doing insane damage as they're fighting 2 on 4 for majority of this. Insane lifesteal coming through because of the Ginsu Rageblade. And the game continues.
Yeah, and so on as well. I mean, able to get on exactly the priority targets. And now all trying to shove down. The top inhibitor being dead is a bit of a problem for Jin Air, but now Deft has respawned. And we're back at it again, Papa Smithy. It's 55 minutes in. We're closing on an hour. KT just trying to finish the series. Jin Air trying to hold on.
Yasuo has an Infinity Edge. He has not had one the entire game. Redoes his items and now has IE. And guess what he sold to get an Infinity Edge?
What did he sell, Papa Smithy?
He sold his Guardian Angel.
That's the dream. That's 3 Infinity Edges, actually.
We could have another game in this series.
Oh, yes, we definitely could.
It is insane how long this has gone. We're once again encroaching on an hour. There's been a huge battle between the teams, and it feels like KT doesn't have enough damage, insane as that is, with an item-capped Kog'Maw and an item-capped Cassiopeia. We're in really uncharted territory because the Yasuo is so infrequently seen. Once again, Deft walks up. Once again, Jin Air move back. No flash on the Gnar, so won't be initiating. Because KT need to disengage, do they have to wait for a Baron or an Elder Dragon to actually get value out of their comp? That's kind of the madness that we're seeing at the moment.
Well, once again, Deft should be able to take down this inhibitor. It's 2 inhibitors dead. Remember, with 3 inhibs down, Nexus exposed. It could just be the PvE style that KT employs to win this game. They're going for that. They're putting their big front line right in front, exactly like they should. Miasma's down there as well. Pond needs to be really careful with that cooldown. It could be so important as Snowflower jumps his way in.
Might be now or never for Jin Air. That's what they're feeling. KT walk up. The walls are down. Jin Air pull back. They only have an exposed Nexus. And it looks like they're giving up 3 inhibitors.
Yep, so that's the 3rd inhib down, and now Deft playing far forward, but has the Dark Passage once again. Remember, Marta died very early in the last fight as Deft playing with fire, flashes out of the way of the Glacial Fissure, good playback as that is the fight. Disengaged now from Score, who threw down the cask.
Redemption.
Okay. Mercurial Scimitar coming in there as well as Jin Air do get their health back from that redemption, exactly.
Remember, they have to make a decisive call. Super minions in all 3 lanes are pushing in. The moment KT disengages this far, Jin Air needs to pull back.
Yeah, and look at the creeps just cruising on into the base. Jin Air now getting chased, and this game is on such a knife edge.
At some point, Jin Air have to fight against 3 super minion waves and 5 people, including Deft, who outranges all of them. It would take just the most insane defense to not die here. The couple of shots on the Nexus, it's already at 3/4 health.
And that was only with his Ginsu's barely charged at the same time. Oh wow, that static shift starting to do work. There's a package that's been picked up by Kuzan. You can't help but let your heart stop a little bit here as Jin Air trying to find their way back into this game, trying to get the engage that they want. Oh, so on. Just easy on the trigger when it comes to that last breath, and they move back as a team to try and defend this Nexus.
The Nexus cannot be left alone. The longest game record is now exceeded. Another memorable one for the summer season. Jin Air know they have to fight, know they will lose if they do not fight. Put down the wall, 1 wall down, Unbreakable's still up.
Oh,
Here
there's
it is.
the Black Snowflower.
We're going.
Wants to find it, Pawn. He's been exhausted. There's another huge cask, and Deft has been eliminated. Score now, trying to play frontline, and they're trying to just create space for the base. Exactly right. There are super creeps on it, and 4 members of KT do disengage. 5 seconds. Elder Dragons back up. You got a Baron buff available for KT, but Jin Air are still not out of it.
The walls here are so heroic because when they disengage, they can put down a wall, someone can dip into the base, and Kog'Maw can't just end the game. Unbreakable and also the Wind Wall have done massive work, so has all the damage. Elder Dragon is swapped for Baron because that's what happens at 58 minutes. It gets a bit silly.
Well, it's actually going to be fantastic news because KT, as far as winning the game, I believe what you'd want is a Baron buff because Super Creeps do so much damage with the increased attack speed.
And it also repels what has been almost permanently 3 inhibitors down. We've had 3 inhibitors down twice in this game. One has now respawned. Jin Air will continue to play base defense. We thought this was tower defense, but it seems like they sold that game and made it base defense. All they have is their Nexus. They have fought over their Nexus multiple times, but they're winning fights. And that's why they're actually not just losing Elder and Baron, Elder and Baron, Elder and Baron. It's only ever one because they're able to actually put in contests. And now item builds are trivial, even though Cassiopeia has access to 6 items. So do many members of Jin Air because they've sold their boots. They're not feeling item capped at all. And Kog'Maw just can't do enough damage.
Well, he's still got his cute little frozen mallet that he needs to keep his health bar high. But it means that that is not very much damage picked up for the Kog'Maw. As Teddy almost got played there. Smeb, he's looking for it, doesn't quite have the Nabar in there, and he's been stunned up. He is going to be able to get a big wallet, and there he goes.
This could be Jin Air.
Yep, Teddy's able to pick up that kill as Kuzan. He's going to be flayed back. Oh, Pawn picks up that kill nicely, but Teddy's popping up, looking for the resets. Pawn now, so many things of his death. He's going to be taken down and score. There's nothing he can do. He wants to try and get some creeps and move them towards the Nexus, but Jin Air have so much more damage than that.
I think Jin Air are going to win it just around the hour mark. They push in, and Teddy cannot die. This Rage Blade 6-item Callista is redefining builds. They're going to go through the front. 2 here are going to hold, and we're going to game 3.
We are going to game 3, and what a way to do it as well. Jin Air with so much momentum after this incredible, historic game. Score still trying to take down a Nexus. No one's going to be up in time. And that is one of the most ridiculous comebacks I've seen from no turrets at all. Jin Air, get behind Teddy and bring us to a game number 3.
Atlas, they had about 25 to 30 minutes with no turrets. They had multiple times, 2 rounds of 3 inhibitors down, and they beat KT Rolster. KT ran out of damage with a 6-item Cassiopeia and a 6-item Kog'Maw because there was the Yasuo, who in the late game was a teamfight god. If KT had had an exhaust, would it have been a different game? If Jin Air hadn't made so many good decisions, would it have been a different game? The answer is yes, but who's to know what the final result will be? And now KT Rolster, who desperately wanted to finally pick up a match victory after losing to SKT, after losing to the Rocks Tigers, after losing to AHQ. It hasn't happened, as we're going to get a replay of this final fight. And unfortunately, Smeb, for the first time in a while, said, okay, I'll initiate, but that's not what KT's comp was for. There was no flank teleport. It was too late in the game for that. And Naro just went over, galloped to his death, and sure, Kuzan gives up. But Kuzan was not the carry in this game. Callista and Yasuo did all the work.
Yeah, so on getting into the backline, dealing with the Kog'Maw on his own. And then Teddy, the unkillable force of the front line. Remember, he didn't have any armor penetration at all and melted tanks like butter with that build.
One of the most exciting games we will ever see. The biggest comeback we have seen since Captain Jack many years ago. Insane base defense from Jin Air GreenWings, and now KT and Jin Air both are going to be flustered. It's 10:40 p.m. at night here. We are going to have a 3rd game, and Jin Air continue to want to be a playoff hopeful, and after this game, I don't think anyone could hold it against them.
Yeah, you have to feel like they have the momentum moving into game number 3. Remember, it will be a side switch up, and Red Side has been very successful so far tonight. Such an incredible series thus far. The climax will definitely have to be something along these lines, Papa Smithy. I cannot believe I spent the last 13 hours on a plane because I really could have done with a better voice for this particular series, but I wouldn't have it any other way. Just incredible stuff from Jin Air. We'll see whether they can continue this one forward up against KT right after the break.